I love that you saved the best for last. They say that you're supposed to do that. When you have a middle school talent show, you try to put some strength at the beginning and some strength at the end. Hopefully this will be that for you. We are representing South County today. I am Katie McNamara, and I have the privilege to be the superintendent in South Bay Union. So if you drive to the very, very, very edge of California, just above the border, you will find us. And if you drive to the very far west and you put your toes in the sand in the ocean, that's where we are. We are Imperial Beach and a little chunk of San Diego. And my district has 13 campuses. We serve about 8,600 kids. And what you did not do that I just did this week is we opened school. We opened school on Monday, and we have what seems like a single track year-round kind of schedule. We are one of 5 districts that feed the big, giant Sweetwater High School district. So my district is K-6 with a couple of exceptions. We have 2 dependent charter schools that go to 8th grade. And we have an absolutely enormous preschool, 1 campus with about 600 3- and 4-year-olds, if you can imagine that. It's where I go when I'm having a bad day to have a little bit of fun. Anyway, we are a school district that is in the 85% unduplicated count. Most of you probably know what that means. It means that 85% of our kids are either English learners or they are on free and reduced lunch, and they are from very hardworking families, or they're foster youth, and we have about 50 kids that are in foster care. One of the things that is incredibly just a real spotlight for our district as we think about being future ready goes beyond technology, and that is that we have an absolutely stellar dual immersion program. So if you're ever interested in how you educate children completely fluent in 2 languages, South Bay is a really great place to visit. So as we think about college and future and career readiness, one of the things that I wanted to talk about with our district is how we are going about educating our children that just started school on Monday. Our kindergartners are going to graduate in 2028, and we are going to send them to college and have them be future ready to finish college in 2032, which sounds like a really long time away. And as we think about some of the things that you've said today, it's hard to imagine what that's going to look like. So we are very focused on this idea that we need to be innovative and be teaching kids about critical thinking and problem solving in a way that will span their futures. So I thought about this particular speech, especially having listened all day yesterday. And what I wanted to talk about today is a little bit of 2 things that I can see happening between us. One is, I think that you are really appreciating the way I am, those sparks of innovation that are like, oh, that's a really cool idea, I love that idea. And part of that relates to this idea of innovation, that we'll have little pockets and sparks of things that are, oh, I love that idea, I want to steal that, I'm going to go do that in my district. But there's tension around innovation, and the tension is that we owe it to every child that the educational experience that they have in the classroom is not luck of the draw about what just happened in my district on Monday. That it's not about the teacher you're lucky enough to get, but instead that we are building big systems that are replicable, classrooms that are replicable across schools and across our system. And that is sort of where I'm gonna talk about both of those things kind of simultaneously. So one example of ooh, wow, that's a great idea. All of these are from my team. None of them are my ideas. Is this idea of having a 0 downtime cart. And that is what we call them in our district. But essentially what that means is every school has every technological device that we have on campus as a backup. So if something goes down, if your clicker goes down, if your laptop goes down, if your Promethean board goes down, we have all the pieces and parts ready to go in every site at the office, ready for whatever needs to be switched out, so that whenever teachers are ready to try something innovative or complex. If something goes wrong, they can get immediate service and really quickly. And I love that idea. So in my PowerPoint, you'll notice that those are marked with little orange light bulbs. So as you see little orange light bulbs in the presentation, just remember those are spots for the really great ideas that have come forward from our team. On the more global and big picture and systems replication lens, I selected this image of a tree because I think two things are really important and have been for our district. One is clarity about vision, and I can tell that you all know that and are messaging with real clear vision. Ours in our districts comes from the 21st Century Learning Partnership, where we adopted the 4 C's. You can adopt whatever you want. I think what's most important is that you adopt something and that you have clarity about message, about what you're doing with technology. For us, it's communication, collaboration, critical thinking, and creativity is where we've spent more of our time. And then all of that anchored in really high expectations and alignment to state standards, because high expectations are so important. And then the other part, the reason I selected a tree is that one of my favorite quotes is from Anthony Muhammad, who talks about transformation and leadership. And Anthony Muhammad always says, even the best research-proven best practices, programs, strategies, techniques, they will not achieve what they're designed to do, and they will not achieve what they could in a culture that does not exist in a healthy organization. So a healthy organizational culture is incredibly important to us, and we are doing very specific and strategic work in that way. Our objectives are to be a collaborative and risk-taking environment, and we've borrowed a lot from the work of Michael Fullen. Ironically, Michael Fullen has his own 4 C's. He actually expanded that to 6 with character, education, and citizenship, and we love that. One of the things that we do in our district every week, actually it'll be the 3rd week of school, so just in another week for us is our Cyber Smarts Week, where we do a lot of work in capacity building with kids about digital citizenship, and that is a really fun week for our kids and for our teachers to really focus on what it means to be a digital citizen in the world. Capacity building has been, of course, important to all of you, and I've noticed that you talk about professional development in one way or another in everyone's conversations, but this is one of our idea bulbs that we think is really important. What's happening in our district is we are already past all the infrastructure, and we are past getting one-to-one. We have one-to-one devices for every 3rd through 8th grader in our district, and we have really moved into the part that gets actually quite challenging, and that is changing pedagogy. So professional development has been a focus area for us. Our big idea is to differentiate for kids in the way Tomlinson talks about it. Differentiation for process, product, and outcome with content. But for people, whether they're kids or the adults, we have stopped differentiating for ability. We do not put teachers in classrooms together to learn together based on whether they're high tech or low tech, high skill or low skill. We put our mixed ability groups of teachers together for professional development based on their interests and their learning styles and other things besides how good they are at certain things. And that has had some really powerful rewards for us because we put people with unlikability together and they become partners back at their school sites. So I strongly recommend that as an approach if you haven't thought about that yet. The other kind of great idea that we have in our district is what we call studio classrooms. So we also have the luxury, not only are we one-to-one in every school, we also have an academic coach in every school to support the key leaders in the accomplishment of our district vision. Studio classrooms are a place that academic coaches have coached up, not only those teachers, but they get extra professional development in our district. but we call them studio classrooms because they're supposed to be like laboratories. We expect our studio classroom teachers to always be learning and modeling learning. We expect them to invite their colleagues in to see their classrooms, and they are places that we would take you to visit if you want to come to South Bay to see what that looks like. But they are spaces of exemplary practice, but places of innovation and places of change. And I love the concept of a studio as a laboratory for learning. And then the last sort of big idea that I'd like to share is an old new idea, and this is related to Twitter. We've been talking about Twitter a little bit, but we put a pretty different spin on it in our district and are doing some powerful things with it. So if you've never been to hashtag SB Coaches, this was the fruit of the labor of our academic coaches. Here's an example of SB Coaches, the hashtag, where conversations take place about learning. Amy Illingworth is a great person to follow. She's one of our directors. She started this SB Coaches discussion, and just one example of why I think it's so powerful is she started talking about the art of coaching, and Elena Aguilar is the author of that particular book. And what was exciting about this particular piece of a Twitter feed was that the author of the book started weighing in on conversations, and she joined the conversation. And what our team does is they ask questions that all the academic coaches and teachers will respond to. So examples like, what advice would you give a new or aspiring coach? They have conversations and answer those kinds of questions. Another was a posting from Timothy Shanahan, links that you might just find interesting from him. Another was photos of what we call an unconference. If you're unfamiliar with an unconference, that's another great idea to pursue. We also post inspirational blogs, messages, videos. All of those things show up on this SB Coaches particular Twitter feed. And then just another example of weekly Twitter chats. Jerry Bloomgard does a really neat, he's the cybrary man. He does some really great examples of other places that you can get Twitter information and great hashtags and great people to follow. So one of the things that I love is that this is also a place where you can see photographs of great things happening in our schools. I'll grab those and tweet those out to the rest of the world. And then I'll close just with some more serious frameworks about how we are scaling up some of these really nice, beautiful, novel ideas. We stole from the digital literacy framework from Troy Hicks, 5 areas of digital literacy about presentation, video, audio, the social media forms that children are invited to try to make their classrooms a little less traditional. And then once we sort of slogged through everybody being one-to-one, the infrastructure in place, teachers having professional development, we sort of scaled back to simple and decided that we would do several things in every single classroom. And we use the suite of Google apps because we're a Chromebook district, but we also teach and use in every classroom Edmodo, in every classroom ClassFlow. We have specific expectations across the district about what teachers will use in classrooms. We don't want to be talking about technology anymore. We want to be talking about the content. And as I know that you're making efforts in that same vein, we use the SAMR model as another conceptual frame. But our objective and the thing that's most important about technology is that kids are learning about social studies, they're learning about mathematics, they're learning about the subjects that we want them to know about. And they are being prepared for the future world by being problem solvers, by critically thinking, by working together in collaboration, by being really effective in the way that they communicate. We believe it's with those skills that children will be able to face a really wonderful future armed with a lot of skills for their potential. Thank you for listening at this very late hour. If you ever have the opportunity to be in South County, please come visit us in South Bay Union. Thank you.